You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Today on our Training Thursday, I'm looking forward to bringing you one of my favorite topics, and I don't get to really talk about it enough, but I certainly will be adding more shows on this in the future, and essentially how I exercise, how I train, and also how I teach my private fitness clients and body transformation clients to work out as well. So way back, I know we're on episode 503 today, so it's stephencabral.com/503, and of course that's where we're going to put all of today's show notes and resources there, so all the links that you need will be right there. But way back on episode 103, that was probably about a year ago or so, maybe even more, where I went over all of the different types of barefoot type training shoes. So the 5-finger shoes, the Vibram shoes, the trail gloves, the Nike Freeze, and which ones are right for you, and also how to transition. I really liked that show. That was actually re-listened to it on the way to going to record this show because I didn't want to give you the same information. My whole thing with the Cabral Concept is that I can provide you with new actionable items every single day on a different topic that maybe you didn't know or you know about, but I'm just trying to show it to you in a little bit of different angle and how you can take a step forward in that right direction. So what I hope to do as well is that every question that comes up in the future is that I've done a podcast on it. And then I can refer that person to a 15-minute show where they're going to get a lot more knowledge about that particular topic rather than just like a sentence or two, right? Because it's so hard. I can't answer all of the emails that come in on a daily basis. That's just not possible. But what I can do is record shows on all of these different topics so that when they do come up, that I can just point people to that. And that way there, I feel that I'm giving back. I feel that I'm providing you with the answers that you need, but at a reasonable pace that I could actually keep up with, right? Because it's kind of hard to answer 300 plus emails a day, also meet with private wellness clients, private body transformation clients, record podcasts, write books, all that type of stuff. All the things that I love to do. But at the same time, it's just all about finding balance. That's really what it's about. And as I become better, then I'm able to do more. But, you know, we kind of all run into our own natural roadblocks, and then we figure out how to deal with it better, and then we move on. But that's not the topic of today's show. Maybe we'll save that for a Mindset and Motivation Monday. Today, we're going to talk about the 7 benefits of barefoot training and why you might want to add barefoot training into your own workouts in the first place. So, on episode 103, I talked about why you would probably not want to run outside barefoot, so definitely check out that show. But today's show is all about exercising. It's working out with weights or your own body weight or doing some type of class, and why it's good to be using just bare feet, meaning like no shoes at all. So what would no shoes be? Well, you can still wear your socks. You can still wear those specialty socks that have like the grip on the bottom, or you can just literally train in your own bare feet, especially if it's your own home and it's a cleaner based environment. You know that there's nothing to step on that could injure your feet. And here's why. By training barefoot, I'm going to give you the 7 benefits, but your feet literally have over 100 muscles, bones, tendons, ligaments, 26 different bones just in your feet. I mean, imagine that. You look at the top of your leg. You're looking at 2 bones below the kneecap, and you're looking at 1 bone above it. Now, in your foot, there's 26 different bones, and in your foot, you have 33 different joints. 30% of all the joints in your body are contained in your feet. I mean, it's tremendous when you look at the foot itself and how intricate it is. Well, here's the thing. You're not going to get the full benefits, the full strengthening of your feet, and why does that matter? I'll share with that in a moment, if you're not training barefoot. So some of the things that allow for that people might already be doing now are things like martial arts in bare feet, yoga, dance. All of these things are tremendous for strengthening the tendons, the bones, the ligaments in the feet. Now, why is that important as well? Well, let's get into that. That's point number 1. That's the first benefit. You strengthen the stabilizer muscles in the foot. okay? That's so incredibly important. And it's because if those muscles aren't strong, you start to lose balance. You start to, like, the knees start to twist, literally. I see people with weak arches. I see people with weak feet. Their knees start to collapse in. Part of that's from weak glutes, but really you're looking at the feet themselves being too weak, not being able to support the rest of the body. And when you're wearing sneakers, the sneaker oftentimes acts as the balancing support, meaning like it has a rigid sole. Really important that the sole should not be rigid, because if the sole is rigid, then that's allowing you to stabilize with the sneaker itself. I want people's own body to become strong. That's why I don't use weight belts in my practice. Now, did I use a weight belt when I was like 18 to like 24 years old? Yes, I did. Absolutely. But that's because that was part of my own evolution of training. I was squatting heavy. I was deadlifting heavy. Everybody else was doing it. That was part of the dogma. That was part of the environment that I was in. And now I'm seeing that, well, for long-term sustainable health and a really strong body, we do not want to add things to our body that would help to stabilize it. We want to be the one to stabilize it. So it's called proprioception. When you're training barefoot, when you're training without shoes on, your body has to think about the ground that it's touching. It has to start to grip the floor, literally. You feel your toes, you feel your foot, you feel the arch of the foot start to literally grab the floor as you start to need that for balance, meaning that you don't have this shoe anymore. You don't have this flat surface. Your foot's not flat. It could roll side to side. Well, that's the great thing, because as you prevent your foot from rolling, that's when it gets stronger. It's like as your abs start to shake, that's when they're getting stronger. Neurologically, they're becoming overwhelmed. Now, of course, as your form is failing, you should stop. But the next time you go to try it, you'll become stronger. The next time after that, a little stronger. Each week, a little stronger. So this moves me to point number 2, is that the second benefit is you improve muscle sequence firing. What does that mean? Well, in the beginning, you start to see a lot of shaking. You start to see a lot of wobbling. Your brain signaling down your spinal cord, signaling then to all of the nerves in the whole body, the muscles in the feet specifically, they start to learn how to better achieve balance. They start to learn how to strengthen and stabilize, and they start to learn how to fire properly or more properly. I don't even know if that's proper English. But what happens is it's easier then when you go to do things the next time. And you catch yourself better. Like, I can't even tell you the number of times I've been carrying my kids or carrying a bunch of groceries or whatever it might be, and my ankle just turns and I go to fall, but my body catches itself. My foot goes completely rolling out and then just snaps right back in a good way, like not snapping in a bad way. And it's because my body is stronger. It's more adapted. It's used to getting a little wobbly and then pulling itself back. You only get that when your body's come in contact with that before, when that's happened before in the past, where it knows what to do. And this muscle firing is a big thing too, because that's how the body becomes stronger. So a lot of people think, they start a new exercise program and 4 weeks later they maybe doubled their weight, or maybe they added like 25%, 30%. They think they added a lot more muscle. That's not true. Yes, you might have added a little bit more muscle, just a little bit. Okay, that's normal. But what happened is you have better muscle firing or better muscle sequencing, which means that you are able to move through the motor neurons in your muscles at a faster rate, or you're able to bypass some of the smaller motor units to jump to the larger motor units, which allows you then to fire faster. In a snap, you get that, you lock right into position. That's a huge benefit to training barefoot that you're not going to get when you're using the crutch, basically, of shoes, okay? The second thing is this. For all of those people out there, myself included, who are more prone to flatter feet, meaning like I've had flat feet since I was basically born, right? But here's the thing. You can strengthen and raise those collapsed arches by strengthening them, legitimately strengthening the plantar tendon in the bottom of the foot and the muscles that hold up the arches of the feet. How do you do that? Barefoot training, and specifically one-legged barefoot training. How do you do that? Very simple. One-legged squats. Now, you don't have to be a master at this. You literally get a chair or a set of boxes. You stand on one leg, you squat down onto the box, touch, and you stand back up. Squat down on the chair, stand back up. Try not to let the other foot touch the ground. You can go as high as you need to, and then just start to work down an inch or two at the time each and every week. That will help you. Yes, it will help you get stronger quads, hamstrings, glutes, calves. Everything in your body will get stronger. But you'll be gripping the floor, and your arch is part of that. Tremendous. And you get that benefit mainly when you're doing this barefoot. The other exercise that I love for this is one-legged Romanian deadlifts or one-legged reach. Again, you can type into Google or YouTube, one-leg Romanian deadlift. I'll try to link those up on YouTube as well. It's fantastic. Again, you're gripping the floor, but it's the opposite of a squat. So you can do both of these in one workout if you want, or at least twice a week. You're getting the hamstrings and glutes while, again, gripping the floor that only comes from when you're in those barefoot. Now, yes, you'll get some in a sneaker, especially if it's a minimus one or if it's a zero pitch sneaker, but you really, if you can, just train barefoot. Now, at the end, why don't I give you what I do exactly, but we'll get through the last couple steps here. This is probably the most important. When you train barefoot, you all of a sudden have a more heightened awareness of your body while training. You're more focused. You're focused on not falling over, of course. That's the first thing. You're focused on not dropping a weight. You're focused on not all of these things. So you become more diligent and mindful of what you're doing. And that's such a huge thing. Once you take those shoes off, you're literally barefoot. You're thinking about, okay, now I'm barefoot. This is odd. I'm not usually training without sneakers on. So you start to literally become more cognizant of the exercise you're doing, and that's what you want. You want more mind-body connection. To me, that's the most important aspect of training in general, is connecting with the actual muscle that you are using. All right. And the biggest thing with that is understanding that as you stand, these are called closed chain exercises. You should not be sitting down really for any exercise that you're doing. Of course, there's a few exceptions. But when you're standing, that's closing off that chain. That's allowing you to now have your feet as the grounding out for any exercise. So whether you're pressing a weight overhead, whether you're pressing a weight forward, whether you're rowing a weight, whatever it might be, your feet now become that anchor point. It's what roots you to the floor. So vitally important. That's how the whole body gets stronger. That's how you boost that metabolism. All right, number 5. Number 5 is this. It increases your flexibility and mobility. So a lot of times shoes, especially the ones with a bigger heel in the back, decrease mobility. You're not able to get in as deep a lunge, as deep a squat, any of these things, because the actual structure of the shoe is getting in your way. One of the best examples of this is actually doing a push-up. When you do a push-up and you don't have sneakers on, it allows for full flexion of those toes. And what happens is you start to stretch the plantar tendon, not just the plantar tendon, but that's the one where people get plantar fasciitis, the tightness in the bottom of the foot. By just getting to a push-up position, you're on the balls of your feet and you're feeling the whole foot stretch. It's tremendous. And also lunges. When you do a lunge, the front foot is flat, but the back foot is also stretched. So the increased mobility and flexibility from doing that, absolutely tremendous. Really, really love that. All right, number 6 is you decrease your chance for injury. So the reason is this: you're not going to be as likely to do a plyometric exercise, to do any exercise with poor form if you don't have any shock absorbers. Like legitimately, if you think about this, that you're jumping up in the air, you're jumping off a box, you're doing any of these things, you're not going to do that with poor form anymore because you're going to feel that. You will feel that in your joints. You'll feel it all the way up the kinetic chain into your lower back. When you do a box jump now, you're going to work on cushioning, on your own natural shock absorption. When you're doing let's even think about like a plyometric push, something like that, you're doing it with good form. You're not just trying to land on the front of your sneaker. Again, you're trying to land with the ball of the foot. Everything's being cushioned. That's again, you're just more cognizant overall of your body and how it's moving in space. All right, and the 7th benefit, which again, besides being more heightened awareness of the body, is really this. And I put this benefit in, and I know it's more ephemeral, right? It's more metaphysical out there. But the truth is this: we look at the newest piece of exercise equipment, the newest exercise modality, the workout of the day, stadium stairs, an elliptical, a spin class, whatever it is. We look at everything always outside of ourselves. We don't realize that we don't need the newest pair of sneakers. We don't need the newest gadgets to get the perfect workout. Everything you need to completely tone and build up your body make it strong, make it healthy is already contained within you. You need nothing extra. You do not need bands. You do not need TRX. You don't need a kettlebell. You don't need the workout of the day. You don't need the vibrant 5-finger sneakers before you get started. You don't need any of those things. What you need right now is your own body weight to get started, and that's enough to do it. Meaning, like, don't put off the workouts because you don't have a gym membership. Don't put off the workouts because your workout buddy called in sick for the day. You have everything you need self-contained. No technology needed, no gadgets needed, and honestly, I'll tell you that right now because this is a bigger part to it, you will get a better workout the less gadgets you add. Meaning, like, you're going to get the worst workout, the worst for your body in terms of functionality whenever you sit down in a machine. Think about it, a seated chest press. You're seated in a chair, you hold the handles, and you press out in front of you. That's an open chain exercise. The weight's being blasted through your chest, through your spine as you're pressing out, okay? Not natural. Think about it now. A leg extension in the machine. You're seated in the machine and you're extending the leg up. It's working on one single joint, your kneecap. That's it. Not as great as doing a squat, a deadlift, a Romanian deadlift, a lunge, a step up. All of those can be completed body weight. All of those completed to a much better degree if you are barefoot. Think about it. A barefoot step up is tremendous for working on balance, for working on proprioception. You might have to go lower at the start because you're not as balanced. That's okay. Work your way back up because when you are, you have stronger stabilization of your own natural body. When you go for a run on the beach, take off the sneakers, take off all those things. You can now run freely with your own natural body and form. This is how our body stays strong and supple into our 80s, 90s, and 100s is by not relying on or forcing ourselves into a fixed plane of motion. You need to keep your body flexible, you need to keep it mobile, and you need to keep it strong, not just in your muscles, but around your joints. That's what today's about. The more heavy equipment you use, the more locked up you get in your shoes and sneakers and weight belts and wrist wraps, the more you are taking away from the own strengthening and stabilizing of your joints and body. But not only that, your nervous system does not have to work in the same way because you're not adapting to the proprioception in your space, which means you're not forcing yourself to balance, to struggle, to have to work on various planes of motion. And you get that automatically when you start to work with barefoot-based training. So here's the nice thing. It costs you nothing. For me, I really do. I like all the gadgets. I like the gear. I like doing sprint triathlons, all those things. But when I get into the gym, when I'm working out in my studio or I'm working out at home, wherever it may be, here's what I do. I wear my sneakers into the studio and I literally kick them off and they stay right to the side. I do my workout just in my socks. That's always what I do. And if I'm outside, I do it barefoot on the grass if I can. That's not always a possibility. It's more like a weekend thing, but that's what I do. I literally wear in whatever sneakers I'm wearing. Now, it doesn't matter whether my running sneakers, my lifting sneakers, my sprinting sneakers, my track sneakers. I used to have all of those things. My triathlon sneakers, my bike, none of that matters. I just wear sneakers in and then I flip them right off. Or if I'm in a big box gym, what I do is right before I start my deadlifts or whatever it is, I just kick them off right beside the barbell or right beside the dumbbells or right beside the cable. And they just stay there. And then I can just slip them right back on. I don't tie my sneakers. I just literally wear slip-on sneakers. Now they are tied. I usually wear Nike Freeze or Innov or my Merrell Trail gloves. But honestly, I don't think I've tied my sneakers in probably a decade, maybe more. All I do is I keep them double tied, but I keep them loose enough to slide on and off because again, my foot is strong enough that I do the stabilizing. My sneaker is not. I don't need that. It's literally when I walk outside, it's so that I'm not stepping on rocks or broken glass or anything else nasty in the environment. So again, my tip today is you have everything you need, you have more than everything you need, and you should be working out with just your own body. Get away from the wrist wraps, the weight belts, the heavy sneakers, any of that technology. Use your own bare feet. I know that you're going to get a lot of benefit from that, and you'll actually get a better workout, which is what it's all about in the long run. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into another Cabral Concept. Really do appreciate each and every one of your listens. As always, if this show could help anyone else, please do feel free to pass it along to them. Take care, and be sure to tune in for tomorrow's Friday Review. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.